Hi, I'm Kathy Goodwin, and thank you for joining me. Here is your next step in this series, which I've been working on: how to avoid being sucked into a website development scam or scheme. Now, I do want to point out a disclaimer: not all developers or designers are evil, so please don't jump all over me. And if you're in a hurry, or if you're new to the internet, then you are most likely to find the rottenest apple in the barrel. And for everyone, this particular video is one of the most valuable because we're going to walk through and show you how even well-meaning, well-intentioned developers and designers can give you misleading information even when they're not intending to. So the theme of this video is to read between the lines. When you're getting an offer, when they hand you a contract to sign, here is how to read between the lines and know what you're actually getting. This is really valuable information, so hang on to it. A lot of these things sound good, but they really have no value. I have seen people pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, or even $8,000 or $9,000 or $10,000 for services that they could have gotten for less than $1,000, maybe even less than that. So before you begin, here's a couple things to think about. This will give you a foundation for talking to a web developer or web designer. Plan on a WordPress.org, not WordPress.com, but a WordPress.org site. What this means is it's a site that is very easy to use. It is very easy for you or your assistant to learn how to make changes. And there are tons of people who know how to use WordPress. Setting up WordPress takes minutes, and you will get many more options for support. Recently, I was working with a client. Their developer said, well, we have WordPress, but we have other CMS sites. CMS stands for Content Management System. And yes, WordPress is just one of many types of CMS, content management systems. But for most people, WordPress is best because if you need support, let's say you finish your site, but you want to make a change, you want to get help, more people will know WordPress and can help you because there's so many people out there who know how to do it. You'll pay less and you'll have a much better chance of getting high quality support. Now, WordPress works with themes. What that means is, and we don't really have a chance on this video to go into the whole story about WordPress, but essentially you have something called a theme that will act as a web designer. So when you put a website together with WordPress, a lot of things are done for you. They don't have to be coded. They don't need expertise. In fact, if you have a teenager in the house who's needs something to do, a lot of times they can figure it all out and get it set up for you. It's just not that hard. If you're busy, obviously, if you have a busy practice as a professional, you don't want to get into the minutia. But if you know somebody, a lot of times they can do it. Your theme will give you color choices. It will help you set the fonts, the types of menus. You have drop downs. Are they above the header or below the header? The layouts, even things like whether you have a slider. This is all done by themes. So you don't need to pay someone to code a lot of this stuff for you. Now, there are different types of themes. And this is important because a lot of times developers will either not tell you or they'll tell you something that is a bit misleading. Themes can be free or premium. What that means is when you get your WordPress for the first time, it will come with a theme. Today, I think it's 2014, which is not a bad theme. There is nothing really wrong with a free theme. In fact, if you are doing your own website, if you're a DIY avid do-it-yourself person, then I would say go ahead and start with a free theme. There's really nothing wrong with it. And the new ones are really pretty good. They are easy to change. And in fact, you get a lot of good features with the basic default theme that comes with your WordPress. Nothing wrong with it. But if you are paying a developer, you should ask about premium themes. Premium themes are sold. They're sold for money, and they're just like anything else. There's someone makes them. It's a private service, and it's a company, and you are a customer of that service. You get things like a more reliable code base, because that means if you are working with a designer now, maybe you'll need changes down the road, and you'll need to go to somebody different and maybe change the template, go into the nitty gritty, the stuff that you don't want to touch. You want a technical person to mess with. If you have a premium theme, more than likely you'll have a code base that they can work with. And don't worry if you don't want to get into the technicalities, but it's generally easier for someone new to pick up. on a premium theme. It's also maintained. So that means you have upgrades, you have changes, and you know if there's a bug, someone is going to be motivated to fix it and fix it quickly. And most important, you will get support for that theme. So if you have trouble doing something, if something doesn't seem to work, almost always you have a forum, you have a place you can go and get help. That's something you rarely get with a free theme. And what's nice about this is that if someone works for you, if you don't want to learn how to do it, that's okay. If you have a techie working for you, they will be able to have access to that support. You don't pay a lot of money. This is important to know. When someone says, we're going to charge you extra for a premium, you can buy a theme for $100 or less. I have seen top themes for maybe $199 or $200, occasionally, very rarely $250 or $300. That's the range. So when you get into thousands of dollars, this is what we're talking about. When you pay a designer or a developer, I think you should ask for a premium theme and insist on it. The reason is the pros have developer licenses, so they don't pay extra. For example, on my themes, I use StudioPress, which I really like, and I've bought a couple themes for less than $100. The way it works is once you get the basic, the extra ones are less than $50. And when I get those themes, I can use them on my sites, all my sites, and on my client sites. So sometimes I'll just go ahead and set it up for a client, and there's no extra charge to me. So if someone's charging you extra for a premium, you have to ask yourself, why don't they have a developer license? I'm not even a web developer or designer. I do basics for my clients who are copywriting clients, but I'm not a full-scale developer, and I have premium themes that I can implement for my clients. So a developer should have an even wider range of choices for you. Now, I like to buy my theme rather than work off a developer license. In other words, if you work with a developer, they say, well, I can use such and such premium theme. I already own the rights. That's fine. But what happens is they usually only the owner of the theme has access to support. And if you want to do it yourself, obviously you want support. And if you want to hire someone, they will want access to support. This is not a big deal at all. So this is not a major factor. But why do you need to know this? Well, designers and developers will sometimes promote features that are already included in your theme. And when they give you a list of features, we're going to look at some in just a few minutes. You'll see they'll have some that they don't do anything extra to get. They're there. They're just automatically included, but they're saying, here's an extra feature you get. And they'll assign a value to something that doesn't involve extra effort. And you may think, oh, I got all these 10 things. But what you don't know is maybe 5 of them came with a theme. And you could have gotten them just by buying the theme yourself and gotten someone from one of the low-end freelance sites to install it for you. It's not a big deal. And a lot of copywriters like myself will all go ahead, if we write the content for you, which is really important, we'll just go ahead, I'll just install it. It takes 10 minutes if you know what you're doing. So I'm going to look at some examples, and the first one is for professional services, and this is just one list of services. This is what you get, and I'm just first going to show you the whole page. They're going to compare 3 plans for you. And this is not uncommon. They almost all have 3 levels of plans. This is Rookie of the Year, which means the low end, what they call the low end. It's $199 to set it up. This is what you don't get back. And this is $49 a month for hosting. And of course, you can pay annually and get more. This is $89 a month, $961 a year, and they're pretty honest about this is what it's gonna cost you, $1861 for 2 years, and the legendary is $2,600. So you should be aware that even though you're paying a monthly fee that may not seem like a lot, it does add up over time. So let's take a look at what these things mean, and we're gonna look at just the top first. Okay, this is the same thing, just the top. So the Rookie of the Year, let's start with that. No contracts, no cancellation fees. Well, that's not a bad thing. However, you need to be aware that you already paid for the setup, and your website is sitting on their web host with their theme and all kinds of things. So you can cancel, but moving to another site on your own is going to cost you something, and it may be a hassle. So that's the first thing to be aware of. Hosting and daily backups. Okay, this is something I've talked about on other videos. A web host you can get as low as $5, $6, $7 a month. Most people do not need more than that. I know people running businesses making hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions, who are paying a lower end. Now, of course, you can pay more. You can pay $40 or $50 for a web host if you want higher quality. There are certain times you want certain types of security. But for the most part, if you're running just one website and you're a professional, maybe you're a lawyer, an accountant, a coach, something like that, you don't really need that most of the time. I have been working with HostGator, and I have lots and lots of sites. I have unlimited domains, and I pay less than $10 a month. I've been with them for something like 10 years. There's been one outage in all that time that got some people a little frazzled, but I said, hey, it's one outage. I get great service. So there's no real, you don't really no reason to get excited about this. Your dashboard comes with your theme. It comes with WordPress. No big deal. Unlimited pages. I assume this means unlimited pages that you can add to your website. It doesn't mean they're going to write unlimited pages for you. Every website, every WordPress theme comes with unlimited pages. You can always add more pages. This is not a biggie. CMS and revision archiving, you can always archive your pages. Referral page, they probably have something set up as a standard referral page, and that's may or may not be something you need. It's not that hard to create one, and I'd have to see it. I'd want to ask what's involved in this. Autosave is not something you should pay extra for. Every web host has autosave if they're halfway reputable. You can just Google top web hosts and you'll get a list of them. Your site is automatically backed up. However, the pros will tell you to hang on and periodically do your own backups and save them, because it is a hassle to get a backup from a web host. Google Web Fonts. This is not a big deal. You don't need 25 fonts. Most of the websites, most of the WordPress themes come with a fair number of fonts, and you don't really need that many. Usually you just use, in fact, most people don't use elaborate fonts. Some of the top people who are really in the heavy hitters use the basics, Arial, Times Roman, because those are available to be displayed on every site, so you don't really need this. Calculators. Okay, what this means is sometimes if you are a financial planner, and I think this is designed for financial planners or real estate agent, you want calculators so people can calculate the mortgage, or you want something where they can calculate their interest rates or their years to retirement. You can get those separately. You don't need to pay a lot of money for that. Rotating banners, that's called a slider, and that is included nowadays on just about every website theme you get for WordPress. So you should not pay extra to get this. You will have to put images in them, and someone has to do that, but it's not that difficult for a pro. This is not a biggie. Social media links. This is a 5-minute process. You already have social media accounts set up. In that it takes, your teenager can set that up for you if you don't know how, or you can set them up in a matter of minutes. And you should set up your own social media accounts anyway, because you want to own them and control them. Team member manager, I don't know what that means. I would want to know a lot. I don't think it's anything very elaborate. Video integration is included with every WordPress theme, including the free ones. It's just part of WordPress. A QR code. Okay, please make a note here. A QR code is a code. You sometimes see it. It looks like a bunch of squiggly lines. And when you put your phone up to it, it automatically identifies the website. You can get a QR code free. You just go online, type in, get a QR code. You type in your website name, your domain, and you get a QR code. And you just print it out with your handy home printer, and you now have a QR code. This is 5 minutes. You and your assistant can do that. There is no reason to pay for this. I have heard of people paying hundreds of dollars to get a QR code. That is a ripoff. FAQs, I think that's just a page. That's just another page you may or may not need. Blog Manager. Again, I have no clue what that means. Generally, your blog comes with your website. In fact, your website has a blog and has pages that you use in your website that's not part of the blog. And the only thing a manager does, as far as I can tell, is just do certain settings that take just a few minutes. I don't know what an event manager might be. I would ask. Mobile site is another thing to question, because nowadays the themes you get from WordPress, including some free ones, but definitely every premium theme should say it's mobile ready. The term that you want to look for is responsive theme. And the themes that I was talking about, you can get for less than $100. They're responsive, so don't pay somebody extra to make your theme responsive. Password protected pages, you rarely need them, but if you do, there are several ways to do that. My websites come with automatically the ability to password protect or hide any page and keep it private. You can do that. So this is not something you really need. If you need a full membership site, then there are ways to get it. There are some that use special software. Wishlist members, what I use, and there is a number of ways to do it. But there are some, there are certain themes that come with membership sites. But I wouldn't give all this to your host, because notice that what happens if you get all this stuff set up and it's on their website, then if you ever want to move, you're going to have to pull this all off. And take it to your own site. If you're using their system of password protection, it may not travel when you go. But the basic WordPress password protection, you can do that. That's really not that hard. And the rest of this is forms. Okay, one form. A form just means, and you see, if you want to sign up to be notified of more of these videos, and maybe you already are, it's a form on your website. It's something anyone can create, even a low-end coder from one of the sites like, I don't know, guru.com is one, or there's all kinds of them. I use fiverr.com. It's not that hard to create a form. And in fact, if you need forms, you're going to need some kind of an email service, and they'll help you create a form. And I recommend keeping your email service separate, because for the same reason, if something happens and you want to change web hosts, you don't want to lose your email. You want your email capability, your subscribers, your list. That's extremely valuable real estate, and you want to own that. So you want that in a separate place where you can get it, and you won't be at the mercy of a website designer or a website development company if you change. 1 gig storage. This I don't know. I have a hunch that many of the basic services give you at least a gig of storage. I would want to know more. But you should be able to get unlimited forms for any website that usually you don't need a ton of forms anyway. You get one form and you use it on all your sites. Now, what they may refer to, if you're a planner or a law firm, maybe you have or maybe you're an accountant also, maybe you have certain types of forms that are special to you, and they're going to also include them. But I would find out, because there's probably other ways to get it. Then Google Analytics is very easy to install. If you're not going to take the trouble to learn Google Analytics and use it, don't bother. But it takes minutes to install this. This is not something people should be excited about. Now, content transfer, what this means is, as far as I can tell, that if you have an existing website, they will paste the existing website onto your new WordPress. This is fine. This up to 10 pages. This takes minutes. It really, really does. Sometimes if you have an elaborately coded HTML page, yes, you may want to have some changes. But generally what you'll do is just take the text and you'll rearrange it on the new website anyway. So I would not get too excited about this. And usually you don't have more than 10 pages that need to be transferred. Monthly articles, I assume that means they'll write the articles for you, and you need to find out what that means. Will they actually write the articles? If so, who's going to write them, and are they the same for everybody in your field? Weekly articles, again, I would want to know more about this, and who's going to write them. Are they unique to you? $20 a month is really, for weekly articles, if they're giving you original content, that's just not realistic. Free videos. Again, I don't know what that means. Are they going to make the videos for you? Are they going to give you videos? Or are they going to install the videos on your website? If they're going to just install the videos or install the articles, forget it. This is not useful. Then we come to probably the part that you are most interested in, or should be, if you're going with a development or design company. Design frameworks. Now, I don't know what this means. This is not a common term. So one of the things to do is to ask people. A lot of times they'll throw these terms out, and they hope you'll feel stupid and won't ask, but just ask. I suspect they're referring to basic themes that they'll say, here are 10 free themes you can use. And again, remember I talked about a premium theme? Okay, a premium theme, if you buy it, is going to be maybe $50, $100, or $200 at most. They're giving you 20-month, and this is with the upper level. This is your $89 a month to start, and they're going to charge extra for a premium theme. This is outrageous. This means it's going to be $240 a year for a premium theme that you could have gotten outright for maybe, in some cases, less than $100. And I would ask them, if what if they already own the rights to that theme? What if they have a developer license? And if they don't have any developer licenses, why are you doing business with them? So I would be very suspicious of this. Branding personalization, I don't know what this means. Are they going to give you a logo? Very unlikely. Are they going to just throw a logo in there? Very unlikely. Editable CSS, if you're at the new and you're not doing your own development, you don't need to know about this. However, most themes will give you CSS that you can edit. That means you can make changes. A lot of times, very, very intense or very complicated customizations very easily. CSS is really cascading style sheets, and most programmers know how to do it. It's not that hard to, once you work with someone who, a lot of techies can do this. You don't need a heavy-duty person. But most themes, certainly most premium themes, allow you to do this. That's not an extra. So I would say, I don't know why they're throwing that in here. And advanced customization, you really, really need to ask about. Before you agree to do anything, find out what they mean by advanced customization. Sometimes you will be charged this because you chose a theme that didn't allow you to do what you wanted to do. So in order to avoid any customization, and you want to avoid this as much as possible, here's what I suggest. Before you start your project, decide exactly what you want your website to look like, and then go to a developer and say, find me a theme that looks like this, if you don't want to find it yourself. That's it. Don't pay this $5.99. So that's just one. Now here's another example from a web design site, and we're going to look at that. Now here's something that looks really good if you don't know how to read this. And I mean, I was the same way when I started. It's just that we're looking at years of experience here. We bring our clients, and notice should be an apostrophe here. We bring our clients' websites on the first page of Google. And I'm not mentioning names of any of these. I want to protect the guilty, and generate thousands of dollars in new sales every day. This is actually pretty dangerous, because being on the first page of Google does not guarantee that you will make extra money. You also want to ask what this means here, because being on the first page of Google sounds terrific. But what if you're on the first page of Google for keywords that are not important? What this means when they say being on the first page of Google is, let's say that you are a real estate attorney, and someone types in real estate attorney, and that usually it's important to know it should be by location. So I'm in Philadelphia, so someone types in real estate attorney Philadelphia, and if you are a real estate attorney in Philadelphia, you probably want your firm to come up on the first go around, right on the first page that people see. Well, that can be done. It can be tricky. Some people do it, but there's a couple of things you need to know about that. Some of these firms will say, okay, we're going to get you on the first page, but it may not be real estate lawyer Philadelphia. It may be some other keyword that you don't necessarily benefit from. I knew someone who was so excited because they got on the first page for something like business consultants for women, which is great, except nobody's looking for business consultants for women, or they weren't when I checked the keyword search tools. So really think about what this means before you get excited and do this. I know, and a lot of people really want to do this, and that's the first thing they say is, what about SEO? And we're going to see that a lot of people who are really well known in the field really question the value of this. So this is a $2,000 design. It's just the design and basic search engine optimization. See, I would ask, first of all, what do they mean by design? Remember, we just looked at the concept of a theme. What themes will they use? They can be charging you for design when it takes them 10 minutes to customize a theme, or when it just takes them maybe 10 minutes to add your content and your pictures to a theme that already exists. So you need to know that. What are you getting for that? Sometimes you can get a freelancer to do the same thing for a lot less. I don't know what basic SEO means, because I have no clue as to how they're going to do it. Some people will say they're going to choose keywords and put them in strategic places. Some people will say that it's the layout, which is questionable. But I would want to know exactly what they're going to do, and don't let them get away with saying it's a secret. One thing you can do without any coding or any expertise is you can get plugins. There's one plugin a lot of us use called WP SEO, which uses something called Yoast, Y-O-A-S-T. And you can optimize pages, and you can optimize blog posts very well with just a simple form, because what they do is they help you. They really test to see if you've got the keywords in the places that are important, and they just do it. There's no coding, and it's pretty straightforward. The biggest challenge is to choose your keywords, and you want to know, are they going to do that, and are they really the right people to do it? Contact forms, again, this is the decision. Do you want to have a mailing system? And there are many ways to get email systems. There are some that are free, which you want to really check to be sure what you're getting. I've actually written an ebook you can get on how to choose your email system. There's a lot of ways to do it, but if that's what they mean is setting up a system, it's not that challenging. And in fact, you don't even need an email service for basic contact. I know my dog walker, I did her website and she had it coded very, very inexpensively, so that if you're not trying to build a list, you just want people to reach you by a form, that's really a very simple coding project. An experienced coder can do it in minutes. I used to know how to do it when I took HTML. I just haven't done it for a long time. Very, very easy to do this. And then it goes to your email address. This is not a big deal. And again, you should get quality. Design includes up to 8 pages and 2 revisions. This is really an interesting question, because 8 pages, a lot of times when you design a website, you just design the same website and it goes, and it's pretty much the same theme on every page. So it shouldn't make that much difference how many pages. Where it gets more interesting is if you're doing content. So, and then they bill at $70 an hour, which is actually very, very reasonable these days. Usually it's $150, and this is bigger website design. For $2,500, you get design, content management. I would want to know exactly what that means. Now, this is a good homepage slideshow. You get that for free with a theme, and quite honestly, I don't recommend it. For most companies, a slideshow actually will hurt your conversion rates. So you want to test that. If you don't want to get into it, don't bother. Just don't have a slideshow. Have a static picture on the homepage. But if you really want one, you can get a theme and it'll be included. You shouldn't have to pay an extra $1,000 to get this. Or an extra, it's $500 extra. Basic SEO and see, this is really the same, except content management. I'm not sure what that means. And every WordPress site will give you the opportunity to do this, to change content and as easily as you write emails. So I don't know why that would be especially extra. And the ability to insert pages, photos, and articles, every theme includes that. And if they're not doing it here, if they're giving you a basic HTML, which is not WordPress, I want to know why I would not take this. So I want to just give you a quote here. This is from a book by Dan Zarella, who you can look this up on Amazon. He's an extremely well-known, well-respected strategist and SEO specialist. He does a lot with all kinds of online marketing. And here's a quote from his book that I recommend highly. It's not the ideal book, but it's got some good stuff in it. The most important takeaway and he has a chapter on SEO, is that you probably don't need more SEO help. Most businesses would benefit more from increasing content quantity and quality. And everyone who's experienced on the internet will echo that sentiment. So think about that. Here's another example. Now, I know I've worked with some lawyers, and everyone, whether you're a lawyer or a doctor or a college professor, which is what I used to be, we all have a challenge when we're new or we're in a hurry and we're looking at services. So I just picked one for lawyers at random. And I don't know anything about this company or whether they're really good or whether they're mediocre or whether they're what. But here, I just thought I'd look at how you would read their ad. So this is their low-end version of what they offer, Solo Practitioner. And they say you have all the marketing needs of larger law firms, which may or may not be accurate. And then we take the online marketing pressure off you by bringing your custom designed professional website to market, and we'll get you online quickly and establishes by including. Now, up to 4 pages. I assume they write the content for this, which is not bad if they do it. But you need a homepage, an about page. Generally, you have a serve practice areas, and this is really not bad. These are the key pages you would need for a law firm, and you may need more. And you want to find out if they're going to write them. That's not bad. Find out something about their copywriter. What I have found is a lot of firms that combine design and copy are usually stronger in the design part. And if it were me, I'm totally biased, because what I do is I do the copy, then help people find a designer if they want one. Contemporary design is not an extra, because if you're using WordPress, you're going to get a beautiful contemporary design thrown in. Consistent header with one stock image. You really don't need this. When you have WordPress, you will get a header. It's just a graphic that you could have made for you for just anywhere from, I'd say, 45 to maybe at the high 300, or you can pay much more for a big header if you want, for a nice header that goes on your blog. And a stock image is just something they take from a stock file. So it's maybe you have pictures of people. If you're a lawyer, you have pictures of law books, and those are, you can actually get those yourself if you want to, or someone should be able to get them for you from a directory. And they're usually an image is just, believe it or not, it's just at most $3 or $4 or $5, maybe 10 for most images, not a biggie. And if you want additional images, you can supply them. I would be very careful. This seems to be a reputable firm, but if you're dealing with firms, make sure you put in your agreement who owns the images. And I would say I don't trust anyone with images. I find the images and give it to them because I want to be sure they're legal. It's not unheard of for designers to help themselves to images, especially if you're using overseas designers in some cases, but even here I have seen that. Now this is interesting, up to 4 pages. Most content supplied by you. So does this mean you are going to be creating this, giving them, how do you know what content is right for this? If you're experienced, yes, but who's going to give them the content? See, this is the difference. If you're using a copywriter, I wouldn't just say, well, here, tell me what you want on the home page. We would talk about what should be on the home page, what makes your home page most effective. And I might, in asking questions, identify something that you hadn't thought of that ought to be on the home page or the bio page. So think about this when you do it. This is a really cool little buried here, most content supplied by you. And then your website. This, folks, is a 5-minute task. Google is a little bit challenging because you have to submit it to Webmaster Tools. So you don't really have to. Your site is going to be indexed almost immediately if you do anything at all, anything halfway. People are going to start linking. You don't really even need to submit to all these places. If they're going to submit, find out, are they just going to get you indexed, which is not worth bothering with, or are they going to set you up with ad accounts? That happened to one of my clients. They set her up with Google ads and Yahoo ads and Bing ads. She's not going to use any of these things. So find out what that means. Are you just going to be indexed? And if you are, you probably don't even need to do this. So then they follow up with, this is the same site, I just copied it, unsurpassed suite of legal marketing tools. Engage site visitors with our interactive site tools, which include our innovative e-newsletter system. Their e-newsletters, also known as e-zines, have been around for years. They're not new. I'd really have to see something to see if it was innovative. It is not that hard to do. You can, if you want to send out newsletters and get subscribers, you want to get your own email system. And again, that can range from free to maybe 30, 40, 50 a month, but you own it, it's yours, and it's going to have a lot more features. Remember that if you go with their system and you decide to move your site, you could lose subscribers. You want to find out, are you going to have access? Are you going to be able to export your list? There's a lot of stuff here, so I would be really careful. Integrated blogging, again, this comes free with your WordPress theme. Seminar management system, I want to know what that is, and do you really need it? How many seminars do you give? If you're at an online forums, and click-to-call technology is really common nowadays. If you really need it and it's not really recommended for many businesses, you don't need that. Online forums, again, you don't need, that's not really special. So these sound really good, but you don't need a suite of legal tools. Everybody has them. And I want to point out, these are some of the plans they have. This is, you do get a free trial with this, $89 a month. Now, I don't know how you can get a free trial without having them do some work, but what they say is professionally written content. Okay, that's good. You want to find out more. Hosting domain registration, you should not have them do. You need to do it yourself. I discussed this in another video because you can lose your host and your domain registration. You want to register your host and your domain with your own credit card. The reason is, if something happens and you lose your passwords and maybe these people are out of business, or you want to move your domain, you want to start a new host. If you can't find your password, which most people can't, you'll want to use your last 4 or 5 digits of the credit card you used. They won't know that, and the only person who knows that is you. So I just cannot recommend having them do it. And this will take maybe 10 to 15 minutes. You decide which host you want. You want to use which domain registrar. You get on the phone, call their 800 number, and they'll walk you through it. It's a 10-minute process. It really is. This is reliable business class email service. Now, I don't know why they're giving you just one email account. With my web host, I think it's 20 or more web accounts, and I'm in not even a very expensive web host. And I don't know why they do this in free aliases. I don't that should be included. So I don't know why this should happen. Additional websites, I don't know what this means. If you are going to be setting up additional sites, why you'd pay that much extra? Because for hosting, unless you actually have to pay for development. But if you have a basic website, you can have blogs or separate websites within your main website, depending on, I don't know what the law says about that. If you're a lawyer, you may have special issues. But if you have a web host like HostGator, you're going to be paying maybe somewhere between $4 and $10 a month, and that'll include all your websites. So I don't see why you'd need that. Real business email service, again, I'd want to think about that. And quality, this is where they're really reaching when they say quality customer service, because you should expect that. You shouldn't have to have it set up. And they say here, save money, do it yourself. This is not really, if you're going to do it yourself, then you don't need to pay $89 a month. There are other tools you can get that will do it. Assisted setup, this is where they'll collaborate. It sounds like they're not going to implement. They'll just talk you through it. I can do that most people can do it for less. This is not a big deal. But if you want it, that's, it's not bad to do that. If you're doing an actual blueprint for your site, if it's really customized, I'd find out how much time you get. Is it, just a email, or how much time do you have in a consultation? Custom design, this is outrageous for $6.99 for your images, fonts, and colors. Unless you should be getting much more for $6.99 than just images, fonts, and colors. And advertising, this is something I would want to know more about. What kind of advertising they're going to be using? Is it going to be Google AdWords? Is it going to be Facebook ads? Is it going to, whatever it is? And I would really want to know a lot about that. I would not totally turn over my advertising to anybody. If you cannot get involved, you don't have anyone in the firm who can get involved, I would not recommend that you do this. The people I know who use advertising monitor it very, very closely. Now, it's possible they're really good at this, and you may be able to talk to people. But I want to tell you, I did a website for a lawyer, and I have to be careful about testimonials, because if you're a lawyer listening, or anyone else, you probably know that you have to be very careful what you claim. But I know the truth is I gave her a very, very simple website. We didn't even have professional design. I just set it up with some default options and threw in some graphics that were legal from a site I have access to. She was at first very reluctant to do that, and she was at first saying, I'm not getting any customers, what's happening? And then she got so busy with queries, she had to move to a bigger office. She called me after about a year and said, I need some help with my website. And I said, okay. And she said, I need to change the address. I moved to a bigger office. So it does happen. And we didn't do anything special. We just set up a very simple, straightforward WordPress website. And I'm going to tell you, I want you to see the real cost of this, okay? This says $89 a month. Now, if you're going with HostGator or Bluehost or one of the others, which are perfectly good for the vast majority of people out there, $10 a month for HostGator, that means you're paying $79 a month extra. And that's not including the setup fees. That's just $79 a month. That means you're $948 a year, or 2 years is $1896. That's the real cost of your website. It's not the hosting. If they tell you we're going to make changes, we're going to be there to help you make changes, that should not cost that much. Most months you won't need changes. If you need to change a date, you're giving a seminar, make a small change, you should know how to do that, or get your assistant to do it as part of the job, or hire someone, a virtual assistant, to do it on an hourly basis. So anyway, I think these are just some things to think about. I mean, for you, maybe one of these solutions does make sense, but you should just know what you're getting into and what you could do to maximize your return on your website. Now, I encourage you, if you want to sign up, I've got a series. This is part of a series. You can click on this link and sign up. And if you want to explore working with me, you can just send me an email. If you're serious, again, I have to say serious inquiries only. And there are many ways we can work together. I can actually write a whole site for you. When I do the full service, I can actually help you with the design. And if it gets beyond something that is included in the theme, then I know designers who are reputable, and I can supervise them, because they're not going to tell me this is going to take you 6 weeks and cost $5,000, because I will know, no, it's going to take maybe 5 minutes and be one line of code. So that it helps. If you don't work with me, find someone to work with who will be able to speak their language if you're not used to it. And you can get started right away. We can get a website up very quickly. If you're an avid do-it-yourselfer, I offer consultations as well. So let me know if you'd like to explore further on it. I hope this was helpful. Also, feel free to drop me a note if you found this video helpful, or put a comment in the section. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you on future videos and connecting with you through my list and perhaps a consultation. Thank you again.